We'll look maybe look at the camera and each other. We'll do a little bit of both.
Both?
Yeah.
So talk to the camera, you can talk now.
Yeah. You can do a little both. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are
But it's just
currently,
a conversation on the camera.
currently live.
We're live.
Yeah.
All right. This is the first edition, and a little bit late. But Ryan's World, which every week we're going to be, typically it's a little late tonight, but it's going to be a Tuesday at 12:15 p.m. for most days. But every week I'm going to bring in a fantastic entrepreneur, and we're just going to talk about the world of entrepreneurship, what's happening out there. And today, for my very first guest, I have a very good friend of mine, Andy Cohen, who is the president of Rock Properties.
Yes. Sure.
And from the research I did, Andy, I didn't realize you serve over 2,000 residents.
Yes.
So basically, you own properties, and you're a property manager, and you have properties in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, which is a little bit of an empire. I mean,
Start the seed for an empire.
The seed for an empire, I like it. And I know, you didn't start out in real estate. So how did you get your start? And you're probably one of the smartest people I know in real estate. So I wanted to give us a little background about how you got started in real estate and how you started to build your empire.
I was a school teacher in New York City, 7th grade science.
Okay, so that's a far world from real estate.
After college. But that was too hard.
Okay.
And so I thought, well, let me try real estate. It's got to be easier than teaching 7th graders. And I think it is. So I had the utmost respect for teachers.
There you go.
We should have a teacher here. Interview them how they do it. I don't know how they do that every year.
Okay, so real estate's easier than
Yes.
trying to hurt 7th graders.
Yes.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yes, and I was living in New York City at the time. It was the
Okay.
mid-'80s, and what did we have in New York City but a homeless crisis? People were living on the streets, and I thought, well, I should be doing something about this.
Wow.
And I had also, at the time, was influenced by a book by Jane Jacobs, The Death and Life of Great American Cities. And I always had an affinity for cities. I just like being in cities. I like walking through cities. So I said, well, I'm going to go into city planning and help with the homeless situation in New York.
So this is like the 80s, which is just a far cry from what New York City is like today. What was the homeless situation like? I mean, you just walk out on the street. You were down in the village,
There were
right?
families living on the streets, people begging everywhere. And it was also, at the time, it was a crack epidemic in New York. Crack had hit the neighborhoods of New York.
Wow.
And it was really destructive. People just thought cities were going down the tube. They were almost ungovernable, people thought. And I got a job in the Koch administration.
Okay, he basically cleaned up New York, right? He was the first one that came in.
Well, what he did, people didn't realize this. He was the first mayor on a municipal level to float bonds to build housing.
Huh, okay.
And
so
he floated $7 billion of bonds, which was unprecedented.
$7 billion.
Wow. And
in
he renovated apartments and buildings basically on every block in the 5 boroughs.
No way.
It was, you couldn't go 2 blocks without seeing a building that was being renovated with city bond money. He borrowed it all. And, everybody's saying, oh, don't borrow money for infrastructure. But good luck, out with Trump trying to borrow money for infrastructure. Koch loaded up on, he said, we have to do this.
Right.
And
city renewal.
But you couldn't see it. He built a city, but it was spread out. If you could see what he had built, he would have been elected 10 times over.
Just because it was in different boroughs, it wasn't all concentrated.
It was all shoehorned and infill in between existing buildings, and it was regular buildings, and he renovated them. And as a result, I think New York City has been one of the most stable municipalities for the last 30 years. No riots, no real disruptions because took care of the boroughs and the neighborhoods. He built housing.
And took care of people.
Housing. Landlords were walking, it's hard to imagine now, landlords were walking away from buildings in Williamsburg, in Flatbush, in Harlem, abandoning them. And the city was taking them over.
Right.
They didn't want to own them.
Okay.
But they got stuck, they had to foreclose on them for taxes.
Right.
And they were, at the time they were called the largest landlord in the free world. New York City was 70,000 apartments occupied. People living in them, and the city was the worst slumlord ever. They didn't know what to do, but they had all these apartments. So I got a job in his administration. They were trying everything, anytime a college professor suggested
an idea, they just ran with it.
They put a few million into the idea.
So you were part of this great experiment of like city renewal, basically, in the 80s.
Yes, which meant I sat at a computer. We had a computer, and
really? What was it?
tracked
Computer?
A few dollars that were going into some of the buildings, a sliver of money that was coming from one source in the federal government. That I tracked it.
Okay.
But I also got to go out to the buildings and make sure it was spent on the building, so I learned the construction language and building language, and from that, after a year or so in the city government, I went over to the private sector and worked for a guy who was renovating homeless housing in Brooklyn.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. What part of Brooklyn? Like Williamsburg, a lot of places we know now is...
The city. What part of Brooklyn? The city was paying this guy to take occupied buildings in Williamsburg. So the city was paying him to take the buildings. Nobody wanted them.
Can you imagine that?
He wouldn't want them. Nobody wanted them.
Yeah.
So they would have to pay him to take them. They paid him not $10. They paid him $30,000 a unit
in the 80s.
Yes.
To
take these buildings.
Yeah.
But that wasn't to go into his pocket. That was to go into the buildings. So I'm not taking these buildings, right? So they gave him $30,000. So he renovated the buildings, made them brand new, and then the city gave them to him. Then he took over ownership. If he did a good job.
Okay.
So I was his right-hand man for 5 or 6 years. It was, and the buildings were occupied.
Okay.
They were getting all this money on construction. So I learned the tenant management side. I learned the construction side.
Like soup to nuts, basically.
Everything. I learned about real estate, doing for him. And thank you for the compliment. I'm a smart guy, but I said I'm not smart enough to go do something new. I just want to do what he's doing.
So you just copied his model.
Yeah.
And then you brought it over the bridge because your business is basically based out of Newark, right?
I'm based out of Newark, but at the time, let me just turn this off. At the time, I just said I'm going to do exactly what he does, and I made offers all over. I didn't own a car. I was almost 29. So I had a bicycle.
So you still just have a bicycle? Do you have a car now?
Get a car. Yes, I have a car.
I've never seen you when you drive a car, for the record. I've seen you ride a lot of bikes, not a car.
It's 6 years old, but I have a car. And my bike's a lot newer.
Yeah.
And so I was making offers really anywhere I could take a train to, and I would go around. And
on your bike?
Yeah. I didn't know what I was doing, but a guy in Jersey City, he and I made a deal, and he was patient enough for me to figure out how to close on a 30-unit building in Jersey City.
How'd you fund it?
Here's the story. I'm out to dinner with somebody like you and a buddy of mine, and he said, Andy, if you buy a building, I'll put in, I have $10,000. I'll give you $10,000.
Right.
You buy the building, do the work, and we'll split the profits. And look, this is over dinner.
So other people's money.
He said, other people's money.
I like that.
Never heard of open and this is a new concept. So I called my sister. I'm like, if I buy a building, will you give me $10,000? She said, yeah. And I went to work. I said, the bookkeeper, Libby, before we buy a building, did you put in $10? She said, yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so easy. Because up until that time, I had been a bicycle activist in New York. And I was going around telling people, we need more bike lanes. We need to charge more for parking. All the things that came true.
You're about 3 decades early on city bike.
So I would exactly.
That's kind of cool. Pretty avant-garde.
I was ahead of the time. And I would go to people and tell them, we need more bike lanes. This is crazy. And they would look at me like dumbfounded, like completely like I was insane.
And I live in the village now, close to where we used to live. And I mean, it's like everything's a bike lane. Yeah.
They looked at me like I was crazy. I'd go to those same people 2 weeks later, and I'd say, hey, I'm buying a real estate building. You want to put a building? I'm apartment. You want to put $10,000?
No problem.
Say, oh yeah, I'll do that. Everybody got that. Nobody got the bike. Everybody got investing in buildings. So I was off and running, and then I got the contract in the building. 16 people put in $10,000, and that's what it took to buy the apartment building back then. And
cool. So
I went back to the original guy.
Did it cost the whole building?
It was 32 units, completely dilapidated, but occupied. The rents came in every month.
In Newark and Jersey City.
Jersey City. Okay. And it was $15,000 an apartment.
Okay.
And so I paid about $480 for it.
$480 for the whole building.
32 apartments.
Yeah.
And so we put in, it's $180,000 in the end. But I went back to the original guy who got me rolling and said, Charlie, we're doing it. We got the building. Let's do it. Let's go. And he goes, oh, I don't have the money right now. Sorry, I'm broke.
The first guy skipped.
But I said, you know what? I don't need. You did me a favor. Thank you. It doesn't matter. You served your purpose. So I never invested.
That's great.
And I've been doing the same thing ever since.
Do you own that same building?
Yes.
Now, what is it worth today? The one is worth $480.
Probably a couple million, and we've pulled out our money a number of times over. And,
just in cash flow and things. Wow, that's incredible. And how many buildings do you own today?
The building's about 22 or something.
22 buildings, and then how many do you service on top of that, or is that?
Oh, we do manage in our neighborhoods for other people because we're good at it, and it's. And right now, acquisitions are very difficult. People are overpaying for properties, I think, or accepting very low returns and cap rates. So we're just taking in some management from other people to smooth it over. But that keeps us a little busy. But we manage about 8 buildings for other people.
Wow, so that's so
Commercial.
all from one building that you basically went out to all the same people you tried to raise money to build bike lanes. I love it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's a good question too. Just because you're kind of at the pulse of real estate. Now, if I have real estate questions, I always end up asking you.
Okay.
What do you think of the opportunity in the real estate market now as an entrepreneur looking ahead in the world of real estate? Like you're saying, things are overpriced right now.
Sure.
Well, what do you see? What's the future in real estate? Where's the opportunity, and what do you see the state of the market?
It says in the Bible that real estate must be cyclical. It goes
chapter
like
is
this. It's in there. Right?
So it's cyclical, and I invest in the markets for clients. It's absolutely cyclical, so I get that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are at an upper region of it.
Okay.
Over since I've been in business, it's crashed twice. And this is high. People are accepting very low returns with projections of great things to happen.
Right. So valuations and numbers right now are just historically they're not on the cheap end; they're on the high end.
And and people don't figure capital expenses. They don't figure the building's wearing out. They just figure over time the value will go up, and you have to constantly invest. It's like owning a taxi cab. The brakes wear out, the tires go. You constantly put money in. Thing wrong with a day, 7 days a week on the street. Well, maybe now that's out of date. Uber, it's like Uber, okay. But
I like that.
It's just going. 20 those buildings go 20, but they need care and upkeep, and no one figures that into their equation.
I guess if no one forgets about real estate, it used to be. I remember right around 2008 when the bubble burst, and the housing market was like, hey, I just put money in real estate. It appreciates in value, and they never factor in. It costs a lot of money to run real estate, and when you have 2,000 people you're servicing, I have to think that's like.
Constant upkeep.
People
don't figure that part.
It's a full-time job.
If the market doesn't keep rising ahead of that, it'll catch up with you. Sometimes the market does.
Eat away at all of your
You can go a long time on an up market. Warren Buffett said, when the tide goes out, you see who's naked. So
I love that. No, that's good. That's good. And also, so you went from one building, literally, raising capital, just grassroots, to over 20 properties.
Yes.
What do you think has been one of your biggest challenges you've had in your business and in life and just journey as an entrepreneur?
As an entrepreneur? Okay. Well, I learned the real estate part of business very early on. They say any job you can learn in 4 or 5 years.
Right,
and
which you did.
I learned the banking side, I learned the construction side.
Don't reinvent the wheel, just learn the blueprint and copy it.
I'm always learning more. But I knew nothing about running a business. I knew nothing about, it's okay to be an entrepreneur, but to actually be a manager of a business, that I struggled with for 10 years.
Okay.
Yes, that took me a long time to learn.
How did you find
how to fire, how to develop a team, how to keep a team aligned. And motivate a team, and that I'm always working on. That took a long time.
So that's always been your hardest challenge.
That's the hardest challenge.
Moving from the entrepreneurial idea of, okay, I've got this idea, I can put it into action.
Yes.
So now all of a sudden, how many employees do you have now?
I have almost 30.
Wow, that's a lot of people to manage. We have about 15 at Payne Capital. That's double. So I can imagine that's a lot of people to manage.
It's all good, but it took that was the steepest learning curve for me, and I didn't expect that part.
Okay.
I didn't. I just thought entrepreneur, you just but ready, fire, aim.
I can relate to that. I can relate to that too. Yeah.
So
anything that you've done to help you manage, like any breakthroughs you've had with managing people that you've implemented into your business that's just been a real game changer to the positive? I like to ask the hard questions, Andy.
I think, I realized my job, and in real estate, it's very easy to see the negative. You go to a building and see, this is wrong, that's wrong, and it's my job to set the positive vision. I have to do just the opposite.
Okay.
So I have to say, here's how it should look, this piece does look that way.
Right.
Now if we could just get this piece to look that way.
You have to be an optimist.
You have to be an optimist.
Yeah,
exactly.
The glass has to be half
full
as opposed to half empty when you're looking at
Yes,
this.
you have to be a visionary. I say it's apple pie management. You have this
apple
gorgeous
pie.
piece of apple pie, right?
Okay,
But there's a slice missing. And
Right.
somebody's going to come up and say, darn it, that slice is missing. You can't say that. You got to say, what a gorgeous piece of pie. Look at that crust. It's golden brown, delicious. Now we can just smooth out that one piece and we'll have a perfect pie. So let's figure out how we're going to get the whole piece, the whole pie, perfect.
I like that.
So that was a whole shift in my mentality.
It's like, this is the resources I have, so I've just got to use them. I can't worry about the resource I don't have.
Right.
It's like you're in the desert with your cantina pocket knife, and you've got to make it work, which I can totally relate to that.
Good.
And one last question. Since we work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and our whole thing is helping people plan for retirement. And I know entrepreneurs is a little bit different. You don't work for a company; you have to fend for yourself.
Yes.
So no pressure, Andy.
Okay.
What's your view of retirement? I mean, how do you plan as an entrepreneur and as someone in real estate? I mean, what type of tactics do you use, or what are your challenges?
Yes. Maybe I'm a little contrarian to the average person because of my business, real estate. It's very capital intensive. It sucks up cash. So any cash, I think, it's attributed to Mark Twain. Put all your eggs in one basket and watch the basket. So
you got one Buffett quote today, Mark Twain.
Any cash I have, I put into real estate because I know I can leverage that.
Right, and that asset at the end of the day is what you're going to look at to take care of.
That's a real asset. It has value. It's sellable. It's almost it's semi-liquid. I can bring it onto the market.
And make you a little bit nervous.
And
Yes.
Well, in 9/11, when two buildings fell down, I said, well, everything I have is in buildings and within 10 miles of those towers.
Yeah, good point. That's a wake-up call.
Yeah, so I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not diversified, but but I know I can watch it very closely. It's in multifamily. I feel pretty good about it. But I'll have to talk to you about it.
I didn't mean to make I have friends over here. Let's get a risk questionnaire.
Maybe I should have a conversation. Yeah.
I think we're down the home. 15 minutes in.
Is it like one more minute?
1 more minute. All right, so we're down the home stretch. Yeah, so with we have 1 minute left, and we got some great. I love this apple pie management thing. That's beautiful. Just one other maybe tip you can give other entrepreneurs out there that are starting their journey. Just one other thing that's helped you through the entrepreneurial journey that you could just sage words of wisdom or something along those lines.
People say, why were you successful in business?
Yeah.
Really attribute to one thing. I always took good advice. It's amazing. The smartest people, MBAs, they hear the right thing to do from an expert and they don't follow.
And they filter it out.
It's
like, how do you know when you're getting good advice versus bad advice?
Well, you test it out, you try it, but part of it's intuitive, a gut. But if an expert is telling you something, I take it very, very seriously. And the other thing is, I tell my kids this: anybody who doesn't read is going to end up working for somebody who does. So all the secrets are in books. You could either buy them on audio, you could listen to them, you could
get them off the internet now. I'm not sure.
Get them on a Kindle. If you don't want to read it, listen to it. But everything you need to know is in a book, and gotta read books.
The path of glory has already been figured out. It's already been written.
It's all been done.
Beautifully said. Yeah. Well, this has been amazing, Andy, a good friend of mine, president of Rock Properties, for our first episode ever of Ryan's World. This has been great, and it's been fantastic having you.
Awesome. That was great.
Good.